Let me say something that might make you feel uncomfortable. Your biggest expense isn't software, it isn't rent, it isn't marketing, it's people. And if you're not tracking your people costs as a KPI, you're running your agency blind. I see this constantly with creative, marketing, and PR agencies. Revenue goes up and the first reaction is, let's hire more designers, more account managers, more strategists. Because growth feels like it should mean expansion. But here's the problem. Most agency owners hire based on workload, not based on math. And workload doesn't tell you if you can afford the hire. Let me tell you about an agency I worked with recently. They were doing just under $2 million in gross profit, or agency gross income. They had a solid pipeline, a great reputation, but cash always felt tight. When we dug into the numbers, here's what we found. People costs, salaries, payroll taxes, benefits, contractors that function like employees were sitting at nearly 70% of their agency. That left 30% to cover rent, software, marketing, their CPA, and profit. There was nothing left. They weren't undercharging, they weren't slow, they were simply overstaffed relative to their gross profit. Here's the insight most agencies missed. People costs should be tied to agency gross income, not revenue. Revenue is inflated by pass-through costs. Agency gross income, or AGI, is what you actually have to work with. For most healthy agencies, total people costs should typically land somewhere around 55% of your agency gross income, also known in the accounting world as gross profit. If you're creeping into the 60s, margins get tight. Once you push to 70%, it's a killer. You're working for your payroll, not for profit. And here's where it gets really dangerous. When people costs aren't tracked as a KPI, decisions become emotional. You know, the team feels stretched. I don't want to burn people out. We just landed a big client. All valid concerns. But without the numbers, you don't know whether you're solving a capacity problem or creating a profitability problem. People costs as a KPI forces discipline. Before you hire, you ask, what is our current AGI? What percentage is going to people? If we add this salary, where does that percentage move? How much additional AGI do we need to justify this hire? Now you're making strategic decisions, not reactive ones. I've seen agencies transform just by tracking this one metric monthly. They stop hiring too early, they optimize roles, they cross-train teams, and suddenly the same revenue produces more profit. Here's the payoff. When people costs are under control, everything changes. Cash flow stabilizes, stress drops, you can actually pay yourself consistently, you build reserves, you move from surviving month to month to running a scalable, profitable agency. So here's your action step. Pull your last 3 months of numbers, calculate your agency gross income, then calculate your total people costs, salaries, payroll taxes, benefits, regular contractors. Divide people costs by your adjusted gross income and what's your percentage. That's one of the most important numbers in your entire agency. If you don't know it, you're guessing. If you know it, you're in control. And if you're not sure what healthy looks like for your agency, at Craig Cody & Company, this is exactly what we help agencies figure out. We break down your numbers, we identify your pressure points, and we help you build a structure that actually supports profit. So if you want clarity around your people costs and your AGI, let's talk.